Hi there, this is Alvin, and welcome to the Kickstart Commerce podcast, where we share search marketing and domain investing strategies to help grow your business. In today's episode, our guest is Tyara Barnes, a technologist, sales extraordinaire, pioneering the way for Black tech at GoDaddy, while having recently turned into a bona fide entrepreneur, founding all40.com, an innovative ecosystem empowering development of and accessibility to Black businesses and their allies. Today, Tyara and I discuss her tech story of like father, like daughter, her journey into tech as a woman who happens to be Black, how a single Facebook post led to 10,000 responses in the birth of all40.com. And last but not least, we discuss how COVID and the current social unrest has impacted all40.com. So with that, Tyara, welcome, and thank you for making time to join us today.
Thank you very much for having me. It's really interesting to be on the show, and I'm looking forward to giving my input on the show and letting everyone know how I think and how I feel.
Awesome. Well, before we get started, we got to do one little thing out there. So obviously, Tyara Barnes, she is employed by GoDaddy. However, the views that are expressed on this episode are strictly Tyara Barnes. They have nothing to necessarily do with the representation of GoDaddy at all, 100%. So with that, let's kick things off, Tyara. Let's briefly share at a high level with our listeners just a bit about yourself, who you are, your personal and your professional background.
All right. My name is Tyara Barnes, as you guys know. I am an entrepreneur and also a leader in GoDaddy Black in Tech. I have been into technology since I was about 12 years old, paving the way, making it so that I am an entrepreneur and innovator in the tech field now today.
Awesome. So then, you mentioned there just in that brief intro that you got started in tech at a pretty early age. So 12. So I mean, when we say tech, what does that actually entail for you in terms of how you got started and kind of what piqued your interest?
My dad he used to build computers from scratch. As soon as they started having the computers that you can actually build at home or just like that personal computer, I used to sit down and help him put together the memory card on the motherboard and put everything together. He taught me how to start the computer with the DOS prompts and everything. I was rocking and rolling at 12.
Oh, you were going in deep. You were going in deep. You're pretty hardcore then.
Yeah. Well, I wish I would have kept down that prompt coding path, but for the most part, I've been in it for a while now.
So then starting at 12, you're starting to build computers, and then kind of what was that next thing that kind of caught your eye, or did you just, you kept building computers, for, I guess, the next half or full decade?
I started becoming an entrepreneur right away. Young age, 12, I built the computers, but then I was like, how do I get money? So
show me the money.
Yeah, I started being an entrepreneur at a very young age as well. And I started selling candy and buying bulk candy. And I was doing that. So I always had the brain of an entrepreneur and the tech person. And shortly after I started selling candy, I went into club promotions when I started getting into graphic designs and website building. Yep. So all that.
And about how old were you then?
When I started doing graphic, I was 18.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a little time had passed in between. Yep. So you were at that high school age, about the college age, and you helping everybody promote their party.
Yep, and designing the flyers for them and everything.
Oh, nice.
I did a little bit of everything.
And then, so how did that, I guess, so once at 18, I guess, where did things go? So you graduated from high school, and then, I guess, did you go off to college?
I did. So I went to Winston-Salem State University, so HBCU.
Okay.
Ran Pride there. So I was there. And then I came home, continued doing the party promotions, doing my own entrepreneur thing. And then I went back to get a degree at the University of Phoenix online. So nice. I did Yep. So I have like my degree in foundation of business, but I'm more of a tech girl. I'm definitely tech. So that's something that I will be like continuing as well, like learning how to do programming and things like that.
So
Yeah.
then you go off to college. Now, I guess what was your first professional job? I guess out of college.
Sales, I believe. If I remember correctly, yeah, I think I'm a person that likes to create their own income. Like you won't catch me doing like, $15 an hour. Like I need $15 an hour plus bonus or $18 an hour plus bonus. Like I want to feel like I am creating my own income. So more than likely it was a sales position.
Nice. And so you've then pretty much learned how to combine or leverage the skill of technology and sales, basically, and create your own path.
Right, exactly. So and that's actually how I found GoDaddy. Right. So I was looking for me and my husband, we moved to Arizona from California after we formed our family. We've relocated. I was looking for like the best place to work. I was just Googling, started looking on Forbes and, you know, Fortune 500 and all that. And GoDaddy was there. So I end up applying for inside sales position. However, like I had that technical knowledge from when I was 12 and being up all night on the computer, learning all type of things, how to build websites. And I end up landing and finding a position on the hosting team at GoDaddy.
And so that then just basically started your journey right down into tech, essentially.
Yeah. Yep. So then from there, I started learning like servers, hosting, like what I was actually doing. I started learning like the terminology of all the things that I was already doing. Like I always knew like, oh, I'm doing a website or I'm designing this or I need this name, but I really never knew the terminology and the process behind it. So GoDaddy like taught me like a lot of stuff. I'm down to like now I'm on the email team, so I now know Microsoft products. So I'm just like a techie all the way around.
She's like, throw something at me new, and I want to learn it.
I will conquer it.
Interesting. So then most of our listeners now are likely domain investors, brokers, the like, and so for, most of us, while yes, we probably do use other services, email services, web hosting services, and such, but most listeners likely are familiar, most familiar rather, in terms of GoDaddy, in terms of the GoDaddy aftermarket as well as domains. Like,
Yep.
now, do you do any work around those items or no?
Not so I do. There are people that come in and we help find them domain names that they need. Sometimes they are premium domain names where we let them know the value behind a specific name and why it has that value. And then we definitely we do sales and we do try to just let them understand it's always about a cost and like your return on investment, right?
Right.
So if that makes sense for the business, like we're definitely going to push them in that direction so that they're successful with their domain name.
Gotcha. So then you spend a good bit of time then educating.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we let them know, 5-letter domain name is worth more. Try to have a domain name that explains your business. We let them know, like, hey, how much does it cost for you? Like, if you were to get this domain name and you started getting that traffic, you know, exactly how much will it cost you to get the domain name and how much is your customer worth, right? So does it make sense
Right.
for you to actually take time and invest in this domain name? Or, are you a blog that you're not really going to get, too much money off of it? Like we kind of play that return on investment aspect of it.
That's awesome. That is awesome. So then kind of shifting gears here in terms of just your journey in tech. Now, I said as a woman who happens to be black, but reality is like your wife, you're a mom, and you're
Yeah.
the one that's in tech. Like you're working full time. So you're juggling all of these balls. Like explain or at least give us a peek into kind of what a given day looks like for you.
So you forgot that I have a startup too. So
She's like, don't forget my other baby now. Do not forget my other baby.
yeah, so it's challenging. There's a lot of every aspect of my life demands a lot of attention. So when working, full time at GoDaddy, I'm helping customers on a day to day basis. It's been actually beneficial for me being home because during that time, my break time, I can, go play basketball with the kids outside. I can do those type of things. So I'm able to have like a better work life balance. As soon as I get off work, I kind of like stay in my room for like 2 or 3 more hours to just work on all 40, right? So
Right.
technically, if I'm still in my room at my desk, I'm still at work, so they don't know. So I kind of just try to play that balance off, but it is challenging.
Everybody knows as long as you're in the room, they gonna bust in that room. Hey,
They
mama.
do.
They don't care that mama is the lead advisor at GoDaddy Black in Tech. That mom has
They don't
no.
care.
I need you to settle this argument right now, mama. My sister won't stop touching me. My brother won't stop doing this. Yeah, yeah,
I'm over here like I hope they don't bust in the room right now.
exactly, exactly. Did I tell y'all I was on an important call? Yeah, but mama, she hit me. Oh, yes, I know
Yeah,
it. I have three, because you have three as well, right? Three
I have
kids.
3. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have 2, 5, and 12.
Yeah, see, you got a little bit of distance. I was in a we were in a fog. I said we were in a fog. My wife hears this like, what do you mean I? It's I business. Like, no, we were in a fog. So I have three that are 7, 6, and 4. So
Yeah,
we
that's
hey, we relate.
yeah, yeah. I try to put my 12-year-old to work, and I'm like, I make her take social media management classes. So she's actually
Oh,
social media
nice.
certified. Yeah. So I'm like, hey, mama has this business. What can you do to help?
Exactly. And not only that, I
Yeah.
go, it's interesting. You're making that generational pass from which your father made for you. You're making it now for your daughter, which is just awesome.
Right.
It's just phenomenal. So then, I mean, like, what is it to be black in tech, and especially to be a woman in tech? What's that experience like?
So it's like being a pioneer in it. There's not too many black women that you find that are in tech. So like I find myself in a room alone a lot, of being the only black. I can move from, even if I probably move from one company to another, I'd probably be the only black person in the room, black
Hmm.
woman in the room, so to speak. So it's something that I'd like to pave the way for a lot of other people along the way. A lot of other black women. What is it like? It's an adventure. I get to learn. I'm learning along the way. I feel like I stand out, because there's not too many people like me, and I like to. I just like I'm a person that just likes to grow all the time. So when I look at that, like, yeah, I may be the only person in the room, but why am I here? Like, how am I special?
Mm,
So to speak, like I have some type of aura about me that is a winning aura.
that's awesome. Now, why do you believe that? Because I obviously I've been in tech as well, and I've kind of had the sort of the similar experience of being the only black male in a room. Why do you believe that is the case for blacks not necessarily being in tech?
I just think they don't know that it's there. They don't know that it's something that was reachable. It's like, for example, like my whole life, I fell in the path of tech, 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 tech. But that was something that I just fell into because that was my interest. However, if I had someone that's to say, hey, there's a career in here in this, I probably would have went a different path of like being an engineer or something like that to innovate even more. And I just think like in the black community, there's interest there, but there's no guidance there.
The mentorship. Gotcha.
There's no mentorship. There's no one saying, hey, look, you're putting together computers at 12. Boom, you need to go this route. I'm putting
Gotcha.
them on that route. And I think that, and because of like so much suppression that has happened in our race, like we just don't have those opportunities. And that's why we're always the only people in the room.
Interesting. And to a certain extent, it's amazing to see one yourself having had that experience, but actually then paving the way for your daughter. So actually providing that guidance
Right.
from a parental standpoint, but from a parental standpoint, who has the experience of what
Right.
it means to walk into a room, what it means to go into an industry, and be the only representation.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, I mean, it's good to have that, but we definitely need to. When you said that, I started thinking about the conversation that I actually had with my daughter this morning. I'm like, I was talking to my friend on the phone about homeschool, and I'm like, walked in the room to her, and I said, "Well, what do you want to do? We're at homeschool now. You got two choices based on previous conversations that we had. Do you want your elective to be coding, or do you want to do financial, learning how to invest?" And it's just like, now that we have this ability to actually create our own children's curriculum, we need to
Mhm.
put it in there, right? Because now we can go online and get a, what is it, like Udemy class or something, to introduce
Correct.
them for $14 into that path. And I think that that's something that we need to do for our kids, and put them on the right path, and say, and see where their interest is, so that there are more of us in the tech field and conquering.
That is amazing, amazing advice, and I think that that's the thing that obviously everything starts at home, and so it's about
100%.
the family that's there. And so whether you come from a dual parent home or just a single parent home, it there has to be that level of vision, foresight,
Hmm.
just to be able to guide the next generation, just so that even if there's nothing but two of you in the room, at least you've advanced forward. Obviously, the
Right.
goal is to make it all inclusive, and I think that, a matter of fact, I know that that's something that GoDaddy has said and expressed, because the CEO, so Aman Bhutani, actually attended NamesCon 2020, which is our industry's top conference, and that was one of
Hmm.
the themes that he said, "Hey, GoDaddy's working to truly make it an all-inclusive experience." Now, obviously, he was speaking to domain investors, but he wanted that for an entire customer base, and it even goes a little bit further to say it's likely the same thing in terms of the internal employee base as well, of wanting that same thing for
Yep.
the employees.
Hands down, Amon has been the best CEO GoDaddy has seen so far within my 4.5 years of being there. Definitely for the people and for his employees. So, definitely kudos there. And he is paving a way for everyone within the organization to make their own way, and then also the customers at the same time. So that is really cool, and it's nice to see, like, when we're walking around in the office, on the wall within GoDaddy, it's like written really big, like over the entire wall's like a 50-foot wall, and it says make your own way. Well, GoDaddy is like really on their employees making their own way, and the customers, right? So they give us the tools to start our own business. We have groups to start our own business. If we want to sell read GoDaddy products, we can. There's like entrepreneurs in tech where they teach you how to do your social media. They have like all these things within GoDaddy for us employees that is really empowering. There's actually a Stacy Klein, like our employee organization experience. She actually just started something that you may see on her page, where she's having like a round table talk with GoDaddy entrepreneurs, the employees within GoDaddy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And when does this start, or has it already started?
Um, it already started. They reached out to me to be in it, but
Of
unfortunately I
course they
couldn't at
did.
the time. Yeah, yeah. But there is a roundtable talk that she's doing, and it's super cool.
That is awesome. So now you mentioned, so what was the make your so it was make your own way, right?
Yeah, make your own way.
Make your own way. Now, The reality is, though, even during your time at GoDaddy, it's not always been pleasant. Not because GoDaddy was a bad company by any stretch of the imagination, just the given experience for you hasn't always, to use a phrase, it hasn't always been rose tinted glasses. Everything hasn't
Right. It
always been
hasn't.
so well. And
Nope.
so talk through a little bit of that and what that means for you in terms of your experience of Black and Tech.
Sadly, like our culture doesn't, we weren't awarded, some of the type of things that, other cultures, fall into, like, in terms of education. We try to get out of a situation, and it's a struggle because we don't know, and our culture doesn't blend with the other cultures within GoDaddy. So I've struggled to, I've wanted to move on, get off the phone for sales and things like that. And it's been a struggle, not just because of I kind of think it's both. Like it's the color of your skin in terms of not racial and being discriminatory,
Hmm.
but the people that we know, right? So
Gotcha.
like we like being Black, we kind of close ourselves in our own little bubble.
Hmm.
We don't feel comfortable talking to everybody or feeling like somebody can't relate. When the
Right.
company is like 3% Black, we kind of like just stay in our bubble, and we can't advance because of that. So like I've applied for like 40 plus jobs there, and
Wait,
I was
what?
applying. Yeah,
Wait,
I
rewind that
within
again.
the
You have
organization,
applied for how many jobs?
like 40 plus jobs, within the organization, and I'm like, why am I not getting ahead? Like I'm super smart. I have great communication skills. We all know I can build like from the ground up, a company, and I can manage a product. But I guess like it's not about that. And it was hard for the first, couple of years for me to understand what I was doing wrong.
Wow.
I wasn't getting outside of my bubble.
So you mentioned a phrase, getting outside of your bubble. Now, in terms of you likely came into the GoDaddy role with peers. So were you seeing peers advance and then other folks come in? Let's say maybe you train some of the people. Like, were they advancing and you're just kind of left behind, or?
There's sometimes that I've seen it. Yeah, I've seen it where I've advanced, well, they advanced, and I was staggered, and I reached out to people, and I was just like, why? I would just get the feedback. I'll get the
Mhm.
feedback. They'll say, "Oh, someone just had more experience." Like it was like that was like literally all the feedback I was getting. And then I started like just reaching out to people in the role, and I'm like, how do I get there? Like, what am I doing? And, luckily, like a lot of them have been helpful and saying, hey, look, this is how I got here. This is how I got off the phone. And I been going that route. But hey, by the time I get off the phone, I'm gonna be a multimillionaire. So I'm not tripping.
Exactly.
I got some things in the works, but hey.
Now, when so in terms of that, now you said one key phrase that I definitely want to kind of unpack, and you said that you actually started seeking feedback, but you were seeking feedback from those who were helpful, and it was just the phrase of being helpful. Now, I I read into that, or I take that as obviously it wasn't that you weren't going for feedback, but it was finally you met someone or someone's who was
To
actually
hold my
willing to
hand.
be transparent and hold
Right.
your hand throughout the process.
Right.
And
Right.
so I mean, you got feedback, but what was that like to actually have someone to come alongside and say, let me mentor you, let me actually show you, and not only just, I guess, at a high level sugarcoat tell you about, yeah, you don't have enough experience. Well, it's like, okay, well, I can go get a book, I can go take a class, I can go do all these different things if that is truly the case. But if it's truly that there is a different standard of culture or different rules at play, it's likely great that you need to know those if you plan on advancing.
Right. And it's not even, I don't really think it's about experience. It can be, but the armor like people have been giving me lately is just show them what you can do. You know what?
Mm.
I really want to get behind like the product to see like how things work, and why do you guys decide to go with this product instead of this product? What are the customers doing? And talking to someone, he was like so awesome. He's like, look, me and him work the same. We literally sat next to each other in the same position. However, he got to go to the other side, right? The product, I'm selling the product. He's developing the product. So I'm like, man, how did you do that? He's like, man, all the people that called in, he told me, he's like, everybody that called in, I wrote their problem down and I told GoDaddy how to fix it. So
Wow.
they didn't keep calling with this, right? And so like, she's like, yeah, I have experience. Like I'm building this company. I know how to talk to people. I can manage people. But how can you advance it? You need to show them. You need to paint yourself and put yourself in that position. And that kind of really, out of all the direction or all the feedback that I've gotten, I think that was the absolute best.
So then when did you actually get traction to start seeing things change? Obviously, you said you applied for 44 positions that you likely didn't get, but then when did things actually change for you? When and where?
I'm still in the same position now, but I see my own mental growth and
Mhm.
on the way to getting myself to where I want to be. Once I start reapplying for those type of positions, I'll have more armor to get into it because now I've been educated. I got outside of my bubble, out of my little
Awesome.
group. And then now I can, like, I'm just networking just to find out, jumping on team meetings and finding out, what's going on that end. So I just know how to talk to get into that role. But more so like just learning their processes, it helps me with all 40.
So then,
Yeah.
so tell me this. So how did you wind up landing in lead advisor role, or head of communications there at GoDaddy for Black and Tech?
So in the advisor role, I'm actually co-president now.
What?
Yeah, but that's by default. So I guess I can't get no props for that. That's by default, but
I showed up.
yeah. So it was work. I was really in the head of communications. Creating ideas, doing the graphic work for GoDaddy, putting out newsletters, communicating events and things like that. That's how I started. I was really involved with that team, and then every 2 years they rotate out presidency.
Mm.
And and so there was, normally it's just two co-presidents and then it's the core team. However, this year they developed a lead advisor role. So that is somebody that they think will kill it in leadership, but doesn't have they need more training, so to speak.
Right.
So, so I
Get you a
took
few more
on that.
reps.
Yeah, to, do a year in the lead advisor role just to learn how to manage people better. So that's the role that I was in. And then once after the lead advisor, the next year you roll in as president. You're taking over. There's an interview process that takes place. You actually have to interview with the executive sponsor, like someone really high up. And then from there, they go through an interview process, and then if you meet the requirements to be lead advisor, you're there, you get that role. And then sadly, our co-president left and now I'm co-president. So I took on the co-president role a little bit sooner than expected, but I'm here to lead.
That's it. I'm here to lead. I'm here to learn. I'm here to love people through all of
Yeah.
whatever is thrown at me. That is it. We will live through this and get better together.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. Just, and especially I'm happy to be a leader during these times because the Black Lives Matter movement, it's larger than ever now. Companies are speaking up, companies are doing. I love that I get to be a person that an ally can come to and say, hey, how can I help? And I can actually point them in the right direction. So that's really cool too.
So you're in this role, lead advisor, GoDaddy, Black in Tech. And so what's interesting to me, like, and you have all 40, you just launched it, but let's even take a step back. So how did all 40 actually come to be?
So all 40, I've always liked the name all 40, right? So me and my husband, we were up just one night talking, and the name all 40 came up because we are like, man, how can we represent our people? Like, what can we do? The name all 40 came up, searched online. Surprisingly, it was available. We were like, oh, snap. So we grabbed it. Now, all 40, it means all 40 acres and a mule. So,
So wait, so let's unpack that. What does that mean?
all right. So upon the releasing of the blacks during the slavery time, during slavery, we were promised up to start our life. Our ancestors were promised up to 40 acres and a mule to start our life. So some land and the mule. However, no one received it. The
Why?
name comes from
Why did they not receive it?
it's just promises weren't kept.
Mm.
Just promises weren't kept. We sadly, like the Black community, as it's unraveling in the world, is we haven't been treated fairly. We haven't received anything that we were promised. So the name, I put it in place because it's an ecosystem that I'm developing for our allies and our community, to the Black community, to support each other and recycle the dollar and get us out of the systematic oppression, depression,
Yeah.
all that stuff that we're constantly going through. So that's why I threw the name there. But it circled like two other business ideas at first. But I feel like it feels better on the ecosystem that I'm developing.
Now, you mentioned a key point in terms of recycling the dollar within the Black community. Like, what is that, and what does that mean to you?
When you recycle the dollar in the Black community, most of the time these are small businesses. Like
Hmm.
sometimes it's like a Marriott or a McDonald's that are as owned by a Black person. But for the most part, it's a mom and pop shop. So this mom and pop shop, they're creating wealth and creating generational wealth for their children. Just like myself, you come to all 40, you purchase a membership with me instead of Yelp, you're helping me create and get my child out of the same thing that I'm going through, and strengthen that. So that's really what it is about, recycling that dollar, just keeping it in this group to help us advance on
Right.
our own.
Yeah, because I think it's something like the Black dollar actually stays within the culture something like only like 30 days, if that.
Yeah.
Meaning, so if I were to pay you, if you somehow work for me, which that would be like I'd be over the moon and back, if that were the case. But I pay you, you then in turn, obviously you've got bills, you got to eat, you got to do all of these different things, just the necessities of life. Basically, what I just paid you doesn't stay in our community. It only stays in our community 30 days. And in some cases, for other cultures, it is sometimes staying or switching hands, rather, like something like 30 times, whereas ours is Black culture is only like 2 or 3 times.
Right.
If that. And so when you look at just the disparity between where the dollar remains, you begin to kind of see the world through the lens of just everything that's been happening since beginning of time. And so it is just interesting that you would start something obviously by the name of all 40, and so it's almost like making what went wrong right.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So that's exactly my idea behind it. And that's the slogan. The slogan is, "This is how we get it." So it's not so much of begging for reparations, but it's just like, look, you can help us. You can help us get out of this. We can be financially stable, but this is how we get it. Support
Right.
us, type of thing.
And it's not that we can't do the work or do have the bar of excellence. and bring that to it, because it's like, well, no,
Yeah.
like we can actually do that. But when you've played a game so long that has worked against you, and granted, hey, there's a small percentage that have beat the game, great,
Right.
but for most, that's not the case. That being said, so then kind of tell the story about how that single Facebook post, what it turned into.
Yeah, so that's a pretty cool story. There was this thing called the Blackout Coalition that was happening in the Black community. I don't know if you guys saw it, or if you saw it or anything like that, but it was July 7th. We blacked
Mhm.
out. We weren't spending any money outside of the Black community. Our $1.3 trillion that are servicing our buying power, we kept it in-house. I woke up one day. I was like, man, how can I help? How, like, what can we do? So I went online and I just said, what business do you have and how can I support? No, what's your contact information? 10,000 people replied. 10,000 on one post. And I'm
Wait,
like,
what was the question? What was the question that you asked
I
again?
said, I said, what? I think I said, what business do you have and how can I contact you? And everybody just started posting everything. And I'm like, man, I wrote I wrote on the post, I'm like, man, I'm going to create a business director and organize this. And then when I wrote that, actually a couple people jumped in my inbox, but the one that stuck, his name was Gerardo. He said, hey, I can help you. And I'm like, all right. He's like, I can do design. And I'm like, all right, I design too, but whatever, you know. And I'm like, cool. You could design, you could help. And he was like trying to explain to me, like, I'm Afro Latino descent. And I don't care. Like, there's nothing wrong
Like,
with that. But he
if
ended
you're
up,
gonna help, if you're gonna get on, let's get on.
let's get on. He got on and man, me and him together, we've been building this from the ground up. And
Wow.
he's like really beast mode. He's been growing our social media. And from that, like just that comment, him jumping in my inbox, we just built the entire company.
Wait, what?
Yep.
Built an entire like how many days? So you make this Facebook post on that Tuesday, right?
I made it before the Tuesdays. So I
Okay.
made it was like in June. And then we built a company. We built the entire company. We got incorporated. We trademarked. We did everything. And the trademark's still pending, of course, but we did everything and launched the company on July 7th.
And then filled it. I guess between the time you made that post, I guess how long did it take you to fill those 10,000?
So we haven't even gotten to them people yet. We have not gotten to those people yet because it was like so much. It was going on. Like we exported like the information. We're like copying and pasting, copying and pasting, copying and pasting. And we like put it on a spreadsheet. But then there's like so much other stuff like circulating the internet, like dead serious. Like there's so much stuff circulating the internet, and it's best Black owned restaurants, best Black owned barbershops,
Yeah.
all these, and we're like just grabbing them, saving them, and putting them in an Excel spreadsheet and uploading. Like we were working on restaurants yesterday. That's
Wow.
something big that's about to happen pretty soon. But
And is that post still active?
maybe I haven't been back to it yet. I was gonna circle back after I organize everything else. But like I have the data that was on there. Those 10,000 people, like I have it. It's sitting to the side, and it will be uploaded. But it's so many Black owned businesses. We already are over 100,000 on the site.
That's businesses that have been entered into the database. Now, how many have actually claimed their business?
So the ones that have claimed, we have 212 that have claimed.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little harder getting them to claim it because we were collecting data. So like we have to go to their website, we email them, we tell them to claim. But I think that they will be claiming it very soon because there's an announcement coming.
And
And
so
everybody's gonna be looking like,
they be like, hey, can I get involved? You too late. You too late. You should got on
yeah.
early on.
But it's people come, like we get like about 5 people registering a day. So, and
That's
I want to
awesome.
say, there's people registering and not just claiming, right? So there's like two sectors of it.
Okay.
They're claiming and they're registering. So it's going.
So then what is your vision? Like, what do you see long term for all 40?
It's going to be a true ecosystem. So we want to employ. We want people to be independent contractors. We're going to create like all 40 rides, all 40 eats. So like they're delivering, like they're ordering food on our platform. We'll have people driving. We'll create that income. We'll just keep everything going. So we'll have a full ecosystem within. I want to get into like more investing, like teaching people how to invest because I'm big on investing. And I just want to empower
Hmm.
using this platform.
That's amazing. And so, it's interesting. So let's talk a little bit about COVID and just the impact of whether it's been positive, negative. I mean, do you think that, because I kind of look at your situation and I really say to myself, I go, this is really lightning in a bottle of a moment, if you will, that I don't know that this could have worked prior to COVID, but at the same time, I don't know if it's a year from now, if it had the same momentum that it has. And so uh, just kind of, I guess, expound on just a bit about, what the experience has been like in terms of COVID and just the current social unrest and how it either has helped or hindered birthing this business.
I think that COVID was a blessing in disguise for some of us. Being able to save so much time for me to jump from one task to the next by like working from home, and then not having to drive and go pick up my kids, take them to track practice, and then come home, and then I'm like completely exhausted. I can't even think to do a business. COVID has like gave me my time back, and it gave me networking skills, right? So there's been times where I look on LinkedIn and I see someone like yourself and I'm like, hey, let's get on the line. Now we're starting a video chat. Now we're starting to meet people that we never even thought of because, we normally wouldn't go up and walk up to, another Black girl in tech and say, hey, let's talk. But I've talked to blockchain developers. I've talked to like so many different people that I normally wouldn't reach out. I've reached out to CEOs like, hey, knock, knock, knock. How are you doing that? Tell me what you're doing. And I think COVID has like brought that out of people to just start jumping in people's inbox and start meeting people. So for me, like COVID has been like, hey, a great experience. It didn't knock me, it only empowered me
Mm,
in my business.
man, the phrase of the year. It didn't knock me, it only empowered me. Oh, so many of us are going to live to say that about 2020. Yes, we will.
Yeah.
Um, because and I even think about that, just your own situation of there, when we look at the unemployment numbers, there at the time of this recording, at least 30, almost somewhere between 30, 40 million people.
14%.
Yeah, that are unemployed. It's at its highest that it's ever been, and so you look at that, and it's kind of as if the writing is on the wall to say, regardless of your culture, as an individual that finds themselves sidelined, it's now is time to jump.
Now
It's
it's time to
time to go
go.
forward. Yeah.
Yeah, it's time. It's time. Like all these companies are giving away free stuff to get you on board for the first year. They're discounting things due to COVID 19. They're, your unemployment is higher than it's ever been before. Like literally, the unemployment that people are getting for COVID 19, they can literally start a business with that because that is extra income that some people never even had or even touched before. Like that extra $600, like it could have been like It could have been, even if it was like $200 extra than you normally get, you could have been buying little earrings online to sell, things like that. So I mean, being unemployed like that, unemployment rate, there's ways to grow. Even my husband was one of the people that were laid off, but he didn't let that stop. He was tired of being fired, and he's like, look, I know this, I got you, I'm starting a tech company. So he took that time to say, how do I get better next time? Like if COVID happens again, and which he did, we went back to work and they knocked us all back off again. How
Wow.
do I get off that? How do I get off that train and create my own way? Like GoDaddy says, make your own way. I mean, I just really feel like COVID is kind of, aside from the people that are getting sick or, family members that are being affected by being sick, is, hey, stay home and build. Just like they're saying, stay home and build your life.
And who knew? Your husband, he's rocking in tech.
Yep.
Now what is his, I guess, line of business?
So he's managed services, I think. Like when he calls it, like he said, is like MASS or something. I don't know. It's as a service. That's all I know.
Okay. Okay.
But like he does things like he's a GoDaddy reseller. On top of that, his market is actually the Black community as well. So it's just helping the Black people in our community to grow, and it's not just for Blacks, but that's the market. It's to help the Black community grow in tech, like making their websites better. Because a lot of times, people want to just build it themselves, and it's not as pretty. So
Get
he's
it
there to give
together.
you that tech
Get your look
support.
together.
Yeah, he's there to give you that tech support, just to make your entire internet technology experience professional. And being that tech support, like even if it's helping reset your password or remembering your password, like he sells those type of things where he can sell you like a password vault and help you keep your things secure within the password vault. That's what he's doing.
Interesting. Now what's the name of the business?
Techneasy.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's Techneasy.
Techneasy. Awesome. And I'm assuming that's techneasy.com.
Techneasy.com. That's right.
Techneasy.com. That is awesome. The other thing that crossed my mind, obviously, listeners, again, are domain brokers, investors, developers, the like. I know probably during the time that we've been recording, somebody's out there like, well, all40.com, that doesn't pass the radio or the proverbial podcast test in terms of what if somebody mixes it up and instead of typing out all letters to spell all40.com, what if they type all and then the numbers 40? So I guess, did you think about that in terms of when you were naming it?
Oh,
or
100%. So I actually, all 40, the number, and it's funny. When my husband said all 40 and we came up with that name, I thought the word all 40, he thought the numbers. So that was already there. Like he was thinking ALL40, and I was thinking the other way. So we already had two different trains of thoughts right then and there. So I was able to get all 40 the word, but the numbers I wasn't. But the person that had it, I watched them the whole time. I kept checking periodically until it expired.
Stalker.
Man, and when that name, I was like checking like every day, all 40, getting that all 40. And then it finally came available and I grabbed it.
And how long was that? How long did you have to wait?
It was like, when I noticed it was expiring, I think it was maybe like 3 months or so.
Okay.
And I just kept checking it. I just kept checking like over and over.
Had you contacted them though?
No.
Before?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. When somebody knows, I didn't put it on. I was just looking. You don't need to know that I'm looking. I don't trust it. I'm like, no, I'm not calling you. I don't want you to know that I want it. As soon as I hit the thing, I was like, whoop, I got it. And then I forwarded it to all40.com. So if you put ALL40.com, it's coming to us. Or if you put the word it's coming to us.
Interesting. So like most business owners don't think about that concept in terms of naming their business. And so, like, I guess what would be your guidance or even just advice on naming, because I mean, now at the same time, Black culture, to a certain extent, obviously there's English and there's Ebonics.
Ebonics,
And
right?
we can start, and then there's just slang phrases of different dialect depending on where you're from throughout the world. That being said, like, what's your guidance on naming the company and the importance of doing the same thing that you did with all 40 and making sure that you purchased both names?
So you always have to think of brand protection, and you need to think of your audience too. So if it is Ebonics, go for it. Like if you're trying to spell it with Ebonics, but if you're gonna do like if you put like for support.com, you want
Hmm.
to buy the number 4 and you want to buy the FOR and you want to do the FOUR, because you don't know, like me and my husband, we had two different thought processes. You want to protect your brand because you don't want another for support to grab something that you're doing. Like you always want to grab multiple domain names that cover your brand. We just say it's brand protection because it is. It is. Like, what if someone would have got the all 40 FALL40.com and did the exact same thing that I did?
Mm.
Right? Then I'm losing business there if they had the exact same mind frame. So my advice is just, cover your bases and, just protect yourself the best way possible with your brand and the spellings.
Interesting. So then wrapping up here, what would be your advice to someone starting their journey in tech or entrepreneurship if they are a person of color? And if they're not a person of color, like, how do we help one another?
I'm gonna say it goes down in the DM for one. Reach out. Don't be afraid to reach out and ask questions because people will help you no matter what color your skin is. If you want to know something, reach and get in somebody's direct messages and say, hey, I see you're like this, you do this. Can you have a quick Zoom call with me? And you will be surprised what you find out. And then also, aside from that, something I would say is whatever you're interested in as a child, if it's in the tech field or whatever field, like dig deeper, like
Hmm.
know that, go back to what you did as a child and that's where your interest is and that's where you excel in the tech world.
That's interesting. She said, go back, take a look at your past, and you'll find some context clues for what you're supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
Interesting. So then, last but not least, I mean, is there anything else that you'd like to share with listeners? And also, how might someone get in contact with you?
You can email me in terms of contact. You can email me at Tyara at all40.com. It's spelled a little different, so it's Tyara at all 40, and that's spelled ALLFORTY.com. You can always find me on like LinkedIn. I'm there as well. And you have one more question. What was that other question?
Anything else you'd like to share with the listeners? I mean, just
Um,
anything.
I
Go for it.
mean, check out my website, all40.com. Find a Black owned business to support right now. Definitely do that. Just everybody just keep their head up. We're all going through a tough time right now with COVID 19. Like we see like all the Black Lives Matter stuff that's going on in the world that's not affecting just Blacks, but everyone. Everybody is seeing this and they have to see it repeatedly online. And just everybody just keep their head up and know that we're all here for each other. And at the same time, in terms of tech, it's forever growing. So if you have an interest in tech, stay in it, build. I mean, we're literally ordering groceries online now. So just dig deeper in that tech field and make that money.
Indeed, indeed. And like you said, I mean, we're all in this together. I believe I heard the phrase that was said that, hey, we may not all be in the same boat, but we are in the same storm.
Yes.
And so with that, we're out of time. So Tyara, thank you again for joining us today and sharing your entrepreneurial experience.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. It was a very great experience, and I look forward to possibly coming back on the show.
Oh, for sure. We'll get you back on the show. That is for sure. And at that, you might as well go ahead and tell your husband, hey, we've got to get a date lined up. Get Techneasy on here. I learn a little bit more about what's going on, what's going down over there.
Yeah, absolutely. He has a story to tell, that's for sure.
Well, we've enjoyed your story, and thank you, listeners, for tuning in to Kickstart Commerce, where we share search marketing and domain name strategies to help grow your business. Please subscribe to this podcast via iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, Spotify, or Podbean. Last but not least, please visit kickstartcommerce.com to subscribe to the newsletter sharing tips and tricks about the disciplines of digital strategy. Thanks, and that's all for now.